Something that we're going to be seeing quite a bit here in 2023 with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom releasing in May is that we're going to start seeing a lot of takes on this game, whether they're good or they're bad or they're weird or they're clickbait or they're this or they're that. There's going to be all sorts of stuff on this game, and we're starting to see quite a bit of that crop up online. And the one thing that I've noticed here from a variety of different content creators, people on the internet, heck, even in my own chat during streams, is that there is an aura of drastically underestimating what The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to do, simply because we don't have much information on it, obviously, and it's a follow-up to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There has been a number of things that I will go over here that's very interesting, but I'm going to talk about that and also go over what I feel is going to happen for this game. Now, usually when I do things like this, whether it's Metroid Dread, Splatoon 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I've been right on a lot of these things before launch, and people have thanked me throughout the years saying, yo, OJ, you were really right about that, or that was cool how you broke that down. And I'm going to attempt to do my best with this here so all of us can have a clear picture on what we could see based off of what Nintendo has said before in the past and just me playing Nintendo games for quite some time. Now, I think that the information that we're getting here with the underestimation of this game is that the trailers, right? People are thinking that this is going to be a game that is very similar to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild when it comes to mechanics and gameplay and everything. And I can understand that based on the initial trailer. There wasn't really much. Based on the second trailer, based on what we've just seen so far, Nintendo is definitely keeping a lot of that information close to their chest. But just like Nintendo always does, one thing that I've noticed that when they do that, they have a lot to say about the game when they finally want to reveal it. Now, the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild information that we did get back in like 2014 or so didn't really tell us much. But when they wanted to do a blowout on the game at that one E3, man, did they ever. The game opened up and it showed us so much more information and such innovation that we never even knew was possible with the original footage that was shown at that first E3 back in 2014, then also at the Game Awards as well. It almost looked like a completely different thing when it comes to all the mechanics and everything, because there was none of that. So my guess is that when we finally do get some more information on this, this is going to be a huge blowout of information, new mechanics, differences in abilities, all sorts of stuff. Now, we got a little taste of that when we saw like that big stone plane that he was riding on. That is a completely new mechanic that has never been in any other Legend of Zelda game by a large margin. So that's just a little taste, along with some of the stuff with the Sheikah sleigh and kind of moving up on the different like platforms that they were using. That's also very different. Obviously, the sky mechanic is a new thing. It's been in previous games like with sky areas, obviously Skyward Sword, right? That's not anything too crazy, but with some of the stuff that you can do in terms of things with the sky area, I feel is going to get a huge blow along with other things as well. And I think that right now there's just an era of skepticism because it's a follow-up and because they haven't shown as much stuff. But people are underestimating Nintendo's ambition with this game. I think another thing that people are thinking about is the fact that this game was originally supposed to be DLC. So many people kind of see it as a Mario Galaxy 1 to Mario Galaxy 2 situation where, yes, you've got a brilliantly crafted game, it's fantastic, but a lot of the themes, a lot of the looks, kind of everything is very similar from Mario Galaxy 1 to Mario Galaxy 2. But I think the biggest difference between that was the time in between. The time in between was the biggest difference, because Mario Galaxy 1 was a fall 2007 game and Mario Galaxy 2 was a spring 2010 game. So that difference of 2 years plus or so is very different from the 2017 to 2023 difference. They know that in order to really follow up on this game, to really make it something big and special and not just DLC, they're going to have to completely rewrite some of the mechanics and conventions of what we saw and make some of those groundbreaking takes. And I think that's why they're keeping stuff close to their chest. They want players to be surprised and bewildered and shocked and stunned and amazed and all the different things that you felt with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think they want to replicate that, but then also bring in some of the old school people that love certain aspects of Zelda, but then expand upon what was done well in the game. Now, I do want to talk about this too, because there was some talk online about people easily giving like the best-selling game to games not The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. People are talking about Hogwarts Legacy, people are talking about potential Call of Duty expansion, Spider-Man 2, and yes, there are definitely people that are saying Legend of Zelda, but I think that people are underestimating or they don't know exactly how big The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sold. Now, this game has sold over 27 million units with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, almost 28 million, and those numbers are old. That's as of September of 2022. So the game could easily be well over 28 million at this point, as Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is still in the top sellers consistently when it comes to either eShop some weeks, or even on the UK charts, or on the Japanese sales charts, or here in the US NPD. It's constantly there. So this game has sold 28 million units plus at this point, and the fact that it's not in that conversation with pretty much everybody as a potential or probably going to be the top selling game of the year is very interesting, because the Switch at this point, it's got 120 million plus of users out there. The install base by far is going to be the biggest for any big game that's coming out this year. Now, when it comes to Hogwarts and when it comes to other types of games, a lot of those games are really going to just sell on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, where the install base isn't quite up there yet. The PS4 and Xbox One versions of these type of games usually don't do too well in comparison, because everyone wants to just play it on the newer system. So I think that that's going to be interesting to see. People are underestimating exactly how well The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild did on the Nintendo Switch. 28 million plus going on 30 million for a game like this is absolutely incredible. So I do want to talk about this too, because I think some people still feel that there is going to be a delay for the game as well. And I'm thinking, a delay. The game has already been rated in the ESRB, so if the game was somehow delayed again, they'd have to repay that fee that they use, and they'd also have to reclassify it, right? Because when the ESRB gets the ratings, that means the game is complete, and that everything that you want to put in the game, from the dialogue, from the action sequences, from everything. Now, you might not be done with the game, you might still work on like bug fixes and stuff like that, but the game itself is pretty much done. So the fact that it's already in the ESRB shows us that they are just sitting on the game and waiting to actually tell us more about it. I don't feel that it's going to be one of those things that can really be changed at this point. Nintendo is locked in to that May 12th release date. Now, I think one thing that people are underestimating too with this, because we kind of saw it with games like Splatoon 3, we saw it with Pokemon. Some people felt that these games, these newer versions, could do worse than the previous ones. There was a lot of talk from various people on Twitter, content creators and everything, saying like, okay, wait, hold up. This is just not really going to change enough. We haven't seen enough of the game. It's going to be more of the same. People aren't going to respond to it. But Splatoon 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has completely blown that type of thought process out of the water. Heck, even if you want to go on a smaller scale to like Xenoblade Chronicles or even Fire Emblem and games like that, most of the time when you see a follow-up to a game or the next on the Nintendo Switch as we're moving into the next or last development phase, you're seeing a lot of explosion in popularity where people just don't care about what people are saying online about the game or the frame rate or the resolution. These games are blowing up. Splatoon 3 is a mega hit. It blew away Splatoon 2 very easily, almost from the very beginning with its opening week sales in Japan, or the first 3 days sales in Japan. We saw what happened with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that game pretty much becoming the fastest selling Nintendo game ever and one of the fastest selling games ever, already blowing past what anybody thought the game would do, even with the issues that it has. Plus, content creators. I interviewed Philly BTU the other day on the channel. Channels are blowing up because of said content, whether it's Splatoon or whether it's Pokemon. And I think that the underestimation that's going on is how the content creator community is going to carry these type of games and get more and more people interested and excited in this type of platform that's pretty much sold anywhere and that you can find with the Nintendo Switch, but you can take and play anywhere that you want. That is such a big thing for not only content creators, but for the fans out there. That's the reason why Nintendo Switch games are blowing past all of the previous sales records of the games or the franchises. If you're looking at it, Nintendo Switch titles always do incredibly better than the previous ones. Even like the best selling systems of all time from Nintendo, like the Nintendo DS or the Wii, Nintendo Switch has blown past the best of sales records for a lot of these franchises, whether it was 3D Mario and Galaxy, or it was Pokemon on the Nintendo DS, or if it was various different games, Xenoblade on the Wii, whatever the case is, Switch games come out and just blow past them and set new records every time. Fire Emblem, there's just so many cases of that. So do you guys really think some people out there say that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom can't sell as much as Breath of the Wild, and with this content creator community behind it, that somehow it's not going to be able to do as well? That's ridiculous in my opinion, based off of everything that we've gotten so far on the Nintendo Switch. Also, another weird thing that people are kind of doing overall and underestimating what they're going to do. I saw there was an article on Games Radar Plus where they talked about no annoying climbing mechanics, please, for the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I found it very interesting because in that article, they did say that, oh, well, this is one of the most divisive things. And I don't really think climbing was really that divisive or divisive, or however you want to describe it when it comes down to it. I think that what was the issue for many people was the weapon breaking and the no dungeons. That was like the two biggest things with people out there. The climbing seemed to be very, very fun and good for many people. Now, in their article, they complain about the stamina gauge, and that's how it makes it not fun, and there's issues there, but it seems like they weren't playing the game right overall, just because you're supposed to bring stamina potions with you. If you bring stamina potions with you, then you're going to have no problem scaling any type of cliff or wall or anything that you want to do. You're supposed to come prepared, and that's what the game is about. The game is about being prepared for anything that the wild or whatever they throw at you. So this person simply just didn't like crafting stamina potions and often ran out of stamina, and of course it started raining, and they have no stamina and it rains, so it creates a very frustrating experience out there. So I think that once again, people are underestimating maybe what they're going to do with this game. Complaining about stamina mechanics with climbing is going to be the smallest thing on the list of what this game is going to do. So there's been quite a bit of weird takes, underestimating, skepticism, and I don't understand where that's coming from, considering the pedigree that the Nintendo Switch has already done with various games that came out before and that are getting sequels with blockbuster games like Splatoon, Pokemon, Xenoblade, Fire Emblem, whatever the case is. But I feel that, man, people are going to be blown away when they see exactly what The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom does. And this is coming obviously from somebody who's a big fan of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I'm also someone who looks at things realistically and looks at the sales numbers and analyzes to see exactly what's going on. So I make sure that I'm as accurate as possible when I discuss how a game's going to do, or what they're going to do, or what's going on with it, whether it's the development time or the period or whatever the case is. So I feel that I analyze things from a full scope, and that's how I'm looking at it here. I also feel that Nintendo doesn't want to overshadow some of the other games coming out, like Fire Emblem Engage, or Octopath, or Kirby, or the Bayonetta Origins games, or some of the titles that are coming out beforehand. They kind of want to just wait till that next big direct, which is probably going to be February or so, then discuss everything there. So I think it's going to be pretty impressive once they actually talk about it and show it off. One more thing that I want to talk about is the reception of this game and what they're going to do with it, like exactly how they're going to structure this game. I feel that there are going to be more of those traditional dungeons that a lot of hardcore Zelda fans have been asking for. I think that's going to be a part in the gameplay. Now, do I think that it's going to be an integral part of the gameplay and it's going to be based around it like previous 3D Zelda games like Ocarina of Time or The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess? No, I don't think that it's going to be the focal point of the game. Now, are there going to be optional dungeons and other areas that are going to be far better designed than what Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild did? Absolutely, there's going to be that. But based off of what we've seen from the trailer, and also based off of what Mr. Aonuma had to say, talk about how they're going to really improve the scope and scale of this game. It's not just going to be the same thing. They're going to really improve it based off of what he said. I feel that this game is going to add a number and a variety of different things that was not in the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is dungeons, which are more in-depth caverns and caves and areas to kind of go into and explore at a different type of way that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild just didn't have, because it was really trying to innovate within the open world space. It was a different style of open world game where they called open air, where you're really interacting and really doing things with the environment, whether that's the climbing mechanics or that's some of the other things or whatever the case is. They really wanted to make sure that you were interacting with the environment and fighting against the natural elements of the wild, you know. So to me, I think that they're going to innovate upon that, then even add more depth and layers and do new things that they've never done before. If you want to know more about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and my thoughts and some of the videos that I've done, some of the rumors that are out there, please make sure you check out the links in the description. I'll have all of my videos that I've done on it before, and I do plan on doing a lot of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom videos and content, tutorials, and so much stuff. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so and check out the vids when you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace.